Imagine waking up to a thunderous pounding at your door in the dead of night, only to find a mysterious princess hiding in your room, and a monstrous blue giant tearing through your walls to steal her away. This is no ordinary night. This is the start of Eric Hunter's wildest adventure yet, where cunning meets danger in a race against time to save a kingdom. Buckle up for a tale of bravery, trickery, and treasure that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. Eric hadn't even fully woken up from his sleep when the door to his room was pounded so hard that he jolted upright in a daze. It sounded like someone was raining fists on the door. Eric sat up, blinking in confusion at first, not understanding what was happening. It felt as if the blows were landing right on his head. Then he realized the pounding was on the door, and he exploded in anger. "What's going on? Who's the rude jerk?" Eric yelled at the top of his lungs. But in response, the knocking only grew louder and more frantic. Now, furious beyond words, Eric jumped out of bed, threw on his robe, and stormed toward the door. "Who's the idiot? Who's asking for trouble?" He quickly unlatched the door and flung it open. The next moment, his jaw dropped in shock because standing there was an extraordinarily beautiful princess, wearing a golden crown shaped like a cobra's hood on her head. She darted inside playfully, rushed to Eric's bed, and pulled the blanket over her face to hide. Hey, who are you? What do you think you're doing?" Eric started shouting. "Where is she? Where is she? I won't let her go today." Suddenly, Eric heard a terrifying roar from outside, and with that, the door to his room was ripped off its hinges and hurled away. What appeared next was a massive, horrifying giant. "Where is she? Where is she? Hand over the princess!" the giant bellowed as he burst in. Spotting Eric standing frozen to one side, the giant extended his enormous hand and grabbed Eric by the throat. "Tell me, you mosquito spawn, where is the princess?" The giant roared in rage, squeezing Eric's neck so tightly that his breath stopped and his eyes bulged out. Eric quickly pointed toward the bed, and the giant flung him aside like a rag doll, hurling him into a corner. Then he advanced toward the bed, yanked the blanket away, and lifted the terrified princess with both hands as easily as a child picks up a toy. "Help! Help! Save me!" the princess screamed at the top of her lungs. "Who dare save you from Toto's clutches?" Toto snarled, hoisting her up in his arms and storming out through the broken doorway. Eric, from the forceful throw, felt like every bone in his body had shattered. It was as if he'd been brought back from the brink of death. Groans escaped his lips as he struggled to stand. Just then, one of his servants came running in. Sir, who broke the door?" the servant asked in a tone filled with astonishment. "You're talking about the door? My entire body is broken here," Eric groaned in pain. "Bones broken? Oh, those poor bones," the servant said sympathetically. "Yes, where were all of you? Damn it, the princess was here, hiding, and then that cursed Toto the Giant came back in and carried her off. But where were you, useless lot? What do I pay you for?" Eric snapped. The servant turned pale as a ghost. "The ones who came in? Oh my God, a real giant?" At the mention of the giant's name, the servant started trembling in fear. Yes, a real one. Where were you? Why didn't you confront the giant?" Eric demanded, stamping his foot in anger. "Confront? A giant?" the servant said in a drowning voice, and the next moment, overcome with terror, he fainted and collapsed onto the floor with a thud. "Damn it! These are my brave servants who faint at the mere name of a giant," Eric muttered, making a face, and limped out through the broken door. That night, instead of sleeping in his own house, he went to the men's quarters because he'd been chatting with friends, and it had gotten very late. He knew if he went home late, his wife would beat him like a drum, just like a washerman slamming clothes on a rock. He was afraid of his wife because nothing he said ever worked on her. She'd thrash him thoroughly. So, he decided to crash in the separate men's lodge away from the main house. He planned to make an excuse to his wife in the morning, saying he'd been out on a mission for General Harris and had just returned. But now he was puzzled. Who were this princess and giant, and how had they ended up here? He was still pondering this when he spotted the general's special envoy approaching, which startled him because dawn hadn't fully broken yet, and General Alexander Harris rarely sent envoys this early. It meant something important was afoot. "Hunter, you're here? I was thinking of waking your servant to send you home. Good thing I found you. But why are you up so early?" Eric asked the envoy. "But General Harris has ordered that Eric Hunter be brought immediately," the envoy replied. "Where is the general? What's the purpose of this urgent summons?" Eric asked, growing more anxious. "He's in his private tent. I don't know much, but King Sean's envoy has just arrived and was rushed straight to the general's camp. The king is there too. Anyway, come now, right this instant," the envoy insisted. "Hey, in this state? In these clothes? Let me at least shower and change first. Then I'll go," Eric protested. "No, the general's order is to bring you in whatever state you're in. Otherwise, I'll have to arrest you and take you," the envoy said in a harsh tone. "All right, then it must be something really important. Let's go," Eric said, and followed the envoy toward General Alexander Harris's private camp. As soon as they arrived, Eric was summoned inside. He saluted and immediately said, "General, your envoy didn't let me change clothes, so I'm embarrassed." "No matter, that's exactly what I ordered. Bring Eric in whatever state he's in." General Alexander Harris replied. An elderly man was seated on a nearby chair, and Eric realized at once that this must be King Sean's special advisor. "Eric, this elder is King Sean's advisor. He's come to us with news that a terrifying giant has kidnapped their princess. The king is our best ally. He's helped us many times. It's only right that we help our friends in their time of need," the general explained. As soon as he heard this, Eric's mind flashed back to the princess with the cobra-shaped golden crown and the horrifying giant. "General, the princess had a golden crown shaped like a snake's hood on her head, and the giant's skin was blue," Eric said. The advisor, seated on the chair, jumped up in shock. Exactly! You've got it right. How do you know all this?" the advisor asked, his tone filled with intense surprise. "The giant's name is Toto. I know that too," Eric replied calmly. "General, then our Princess Rose will be found soon," the advisor said excitedly to the general. "Yes, definitely. Eric Hunter will track her down wherever she is. It's no big deal," General Alexander Harris said, reassuring the advisor. And Eric thought to himself that he never did anything without some greed involved. But here, at most, he'd get a small reward from the general, and that was it. "Yes, Eric. First tell us how you know about the princess and the giant," General Alexander Harris asked, turning to him. Eric told the whole truth. How he was sleeping, how the princess burst in and hid, how the giant broke in, grabbed him, threw him aside, and carried her off. That means while escaping the giant on her way here, the princess somehow freed herself briefly and tried to seek refuge with you, but the giant caught up and took her again. Eric, the princess sought shelter with you, but you did nothing to stop him? General Alexander Harris said in extreme anger. Eric Hunter replied in a semi-apologetic tone. "What could I do? He was incredibly powerful." "Whatever it was, you should have fought him to the death. This shows cowardice," the general thundered. Hearing these words from the general's mouth, Eric's senses went numb, because he knew the general's temper well. He'd immediately behead anyone he deemed a coward. No, General. I was just about to confront the giant, but you summoned me," Eric quickly said, trembling with fear of death. "You've saved your life by saying that. Otherwise, I'd have executed you myself right now. Your duty now is to rescue Princess Rose from that Toto the Giant. the general declared. Absolutely, General, it's truly my duty now, Eric said, seeing death staring him in the face, and all his greed kicked in. The king will reward you handsomely, but if you fail, your punishment will be death. Eric took this with reassurance of the reward. Thank you, General. You're truly generous. But how will I know where this Toto the Giant has taken the princess? Eric asked in a calm tone. I'll tell you that. Our royal astrologer has calculated it. Toto the Giant is the servant of the Solar Sorcerer. The Solar Sorcerer died 2 years ago, but he set up a special ritual to revive himself. Every year, on the night of the full moon, he requires the sacrifice of a beautiful princess. Once 10 such sacrifices are complete, the Solar Sorcerer will come back to life forever. For this, he employs Toto the Giant. Toto kidnaps princesses and takes them to his palace, where on the full moon night, he cuts their throats. He's already sacrificed 9 princesses this way, and this time, he's taken our Princess Rose. His palace is in the Black Mountains, the royal advisor explained in detail. There's still a week left until the full moon night, General Harris said in alarm. Enough, General. I'll bring back the princess before that, Eric replied confidently. All right, then go now, the general said, and removed a priceless necklace from around his neck and tossed it toward Eric. This is an advance payment because we know your greedy nature well. But remember, if you fail, your punishment will still be death. We can't let a useless man go free. Don't worry, General, Eric said, quickly slipping the necklace into the pouch hanging from his shoulder and standing up from the chair. His eyes gleamed with boundless sparkle at the sight of the necklace. Let me tell you one more thing. The royal astrologer has said that Toto the Giant has been given special powers by the Solar Sorcerer. He can only be defeated in one way. He must bind his own hands with a small rope of his own will and sit on the floor with his head bowed. Only then can a sword strike him fatally. Otherwise, not, the advisor explained. Don't worry, advisor. Reassure our friend King Sean. Eric Hunter is the greatest trickster in the world. He'll bring Toto the Giant down in no time, the general said. Then Eric returned home, gathered his gear and horse, and set off toward the Black Mountains. After a journey of about 2 or 3 days, he arrived. As soon as he entered the Black Mountains, he disguised himself as an old hag and sat on a rock, pretending to weep. Not long after, Toto the Giant appeared from one side. "Who are you, old woman, and why are you crying?" Toto asked, looking at her in surprise. "Oh, good fellow, I'm crying over your misfortune," she replied in the old woman's tone. "My misfortune? And you're crying for me? I don't understand. First, how am I unfortunate? Second, how do you know? Third, who are you, and how did you get here?" Toto demanded. "My name is Sparkle. I'm the greatest astrologer in the world, but I hate humans and love giants. Whenever my calculations show a giant facing hard times, I set out to help. Now, my stars say a shadow of bad luck has fallen over a good giant like you, so I've come here." "But I'm crying because you're so stubborn. You didn't heed my warning," Eric said in a sly, cunning tone. "But what happened to me? I'm perfectly fine," Toto said, even more puzzled. "Your name is Toto the Giant. You're the servant of the Solar Sorcerer, and he's tasked you with kidnapping a princess every year on the full moon night and sacrificing her. Once 10 princesses are sacrificed, the sorcerer will come back to life immediately. Am I right on all that?" Eric laid it out in front of Toto. "You're truly a great astrologer. You know everything." "So you must be telling the truth," Toto said, now genuinely amazed. Seeing his state, Eric nearly burst out laughing inside. He was certain he could easily fool this giant. His body was powerful, sure, but there was no brain in that skull. And when a trickster like Eric was around, Even the wisest could be turned into fools. What chance did this poor dim-witted giant have? You took a princess last year and gave her up. This time, you've taken Princess Rose, the daughter of King Shan, and you must give her up on the full moon night, Eric said, adding more details. Wow, you know everything. But where does the bad luck come in? Toto asked. The bad luck began when you were taking the princess away. She ran into a room and hid under a bed where a man was staying. You broke the door, went in, and took her away, Eric said. Yes, that's exactly what happened. I was crossing General Harris's land when I saw a group of buffaloes. I was hungry, so I left the princess aside, killed some buffaloes, and drank their blood. That's when the princess ran into a house. There was an old man inside. No, I mean a young man. I pulled him out. But what was the bad luck in that? Toto replied. The misfortune is this, dear Toto the Giant. That old man was a sorcerer too. He drained all the blood from the princess's body. The princess you've brought has no blood left in her. So when you sacrifice her, not a single drop will come out. Without blood, the sacrifice won't count. Without the sacrifice, the sorcerer won't revive. And if the Solar Sorcerer doesn't come back to life, he'll kill you in rage right away, Eric explained, crafting the story with his cunning wit. Toto looked terrified. The Solar Sorcerer will kill me immediately. I'll go check right now if there's blood or not. Anyway, her color is quite red, so there must be blood in her body. If there wasn't, she'd be pale, he said, starting to cry. Eric realized Toto was even more foolish than he'd thought. All right, tell me, how will you check? Eric asked. I'll just cut her finger and see, Toto replied. Hey, don't do that. Because then the princess won't be fit for sacrifice at all. Don't you know the sacrifice has to be of someone completely flawless? If her finger is cut, she'll be defective, Eric warned. Oh, right, I didn't think of that. But what now? Should I kidnap another one in her place? But there's no time left. Only 2 days until the full moon night, Toto said, greatly distressed. If you trust me, there's a trick that will break the sorcerer's spell, and maybe the blood will return to her body. Then you can sacrifice her with full confidence, and your task will be complete, Eric said. Tell me quickly, what trick? Toto asked impatiently. First, swear that you'll trust me and do exactly as I say, no matter how strange it seems, Eric instructed. Yes, I'll do exactly as you say. I trust you, I swear it, Toto said hastily. All right, then take me to your palace and relax completely. Your bad luck will end now, Eric said, sighing in relief. The giant picked him up in his hands and carried him deep into the Black Mountains to his magnificent and grand palace. Now, tell me quickly, what do I have to do? Toto asked. First, tell me, who else lives here? Eric asked, looking around. No one else. I live alone here. The princess is locked in that front room, Toto said, pointing to one side. All right, listen. Sit facing east, where the sun rises. Then, take a small rope, bind your own hands tightly with it from behind, and stare straight ahead for a full half hour without moving, Eric instructed. Toto took a small rope, sat facing east, bound his hands behind his back, and stared ahead with wide eyes. Eric, standing behind him, quickly dropped his disguise and revealed his true form. He drew his sword from his belt, stepped back, and with full force, struck at the seated Toto the Giant's neck. Because the condition was fulfilled, the blow landed true, and Toto's head flew off to one side. Eric laughed at his own cleverness, advanced, and freed Princess Rose from the room. When he explained everything to her, she was overjoyed. Seeing Toto's headless body, she danced in happiness. Taking her along, he explored the entire palace and was convinced that Toto must have hidden treasures somewhere. His hunch proved right. A secret room revealed piles of gold and jewels. Overjoyed, he loaded all of Toto's treasure onto a horse and returned to General Harris's land. When General Alexander Harris heard of Eric Hunter's success, He was overjoyed and rewarded him more than Eric had imagined. They were also relieved that the Solar Sorcerer could never come back to life, for he had been a terrifying sorcerer and the personal wizard of the evil Emperor Zoltar. Then, when Eric brought the princess to King Sean, the king was thrilled beyond words and showered him with rewards. Princess Rose, grateful for saving her life, was so pleased that she too rewarded him generously. With all this wealth, Eric was ecstatic. His life saved, the horrifying giant slain by his wits, and treasures in hand. Dancing with joy, he set off back to his home. Eric Hunter outsmarted a giant and saved a princess. But the adventure doesn't end here. Dive into the world of epic quests and fearless heroes. Grab your own copy of this thrilling tale or share it with friends to spark their imagination. Want more heart-pounding stories? Follow us for the next chapter of Eric's daring escapades and join the hunt for glory today.